Hey everyone, it's your favorite bearded Canadian original Big Rouge here on the Rouge Gaming channel again with more Madden 22 franchise news. EA came out with their franchise deep dive this morning about 9 o'clock Central, and it was on YouTube, which was weird. Normally their stuff is on Twitch, so it was a premiered video. I don't know if it was just because it was a canned video it was on YouTube, but we'll see. I wonder if they're making the switch over to YouTube. But anyway, that's a whole different conversation. So, as you can see here, this was kind of the start of the video. They went through kind of what they wanted to touch on. So I've got about 30 different screenshots here I'm going to go through. I'll try to make it as quick as possible. But they went through staff points, weekly strategy, some of the game day integration they're going to use, what they're calling enhanced season engine, which is basically just the scenarios that you'll see. You know, you're facing this player, how do you want to deal with them? You're going to be doing this week, how do you want to game plan for it? That sort of thing. And then the franchise hub, which is just the menu and how it looks. So let's go through it here and I'll give you my opinion as we go through. So starting with staff, this is what you're going to see for staff. So you've got your head coach. Obviously you're going to have offensive and defensive coordinators now, which is nice. And then it says here player personnel. So build an elite roster through free agency, trades, and the NFL draft by using staff points in the player personnel talent tree. So right now it looks like you have 3 staff members. Maybe there's more. Now when I say staff, I mean coaching staff. It looks like we're getting scouts. And I'll go through that later in the video. So here, this is your hiring staff screen. So you can see that we've got, you know, coordinators, coaches, all that kind of stuff. And then you'll be able to see what their I guess they're calling them hiring bonus, which I'm assuming is the cost to hire them. I would assume that's what it is. Maybe that's what they're coming with as far as points are concerned. It doesn't really say necessarily, but I'm assuming that's what it is. It shows you what traits they have and how many traits they have. So you can see, you know, Matt Nagy, game prep. He's got 11 of 22 traits. Arc rival. Roster, he has 0 of 22, and staff 5 of 22. So it looks like he's also got some, there's some buzzwords there and some archetypes, maybe. You know, it shows arc rival, but then in under roster, it shows guru, motivator, elite, general, maverick, and then staff up and comer. So I imagine those will change dynamically with how many traits they have, you know, and go from there. So we'll see what happens. But it's cool to have coordinators back in the game. You know, you used to be able to be a coordinator back in NCAA 14. But, you know, having coordinators back in the game is great. So this is staff moves. Again, a lot of what you're going to see, and I'm going to reference back to NCAA 14, guys. I really want you to know that a lot of this stuff isn't new. It's recycled. Madden has taken it out. And, you know, EA has decided, oh, people are upset now. Maybe we should bring this back. That's all it is. It's not new. It's not an improvement. It's stuff that they used to have in the game that people loved. They took out, realized we screwed up, and now people are actually voicing their opinion about it. So we'll put it back in the game and see if we can gain favor with people. Hopefully, as a community, we can see past it and we demand more of EA, right? So this is the staff move screen. Basically show you who's hired, who's fired, who's retired. It's basically the end of season report that you would normally get for players, right? So pretty straightforward there. It's going into the talent tree. I have 4 different screenshots here that they showed. This is for the head coach here. You can see the player growth and staff modifications there. Trench play, kind of what happens there. Offensive coordinator, same kind of deal. And then there's another one for player personnel. Now, I don't know if this is tied to an actual staff member or if this is just going to be kind of player personnel for the team as an organization. So when you go in, because these used to be tied to the head coach. So you used to have 3 options when you started a franchise. You could start as a player, you could start as a coach, or you could start as an owner. So when you started as a coach, you kind of got all of these traits under one tree, right? You had the master negotiator trait, which gave you kind of better chances of teams accepting your trades. You had expert scouting, you had all of this other stuff. So it looks like what they've done is they've split it up to give you the semblance of a staff, which I'm okay with. Again, it's not different, guys. We need to realize this. Head coach, defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, player personnel. If you look at all of those, that used to be just head coach. Now they've spread it out across what looks to be 4 different staff members. It's cool. I like it. Don't get me wrong. Something to look at too. If you look at staff points, people were worried about that it was going to be microtransaction, that they were going to start charging in franchise because, you know, there's a pre-order bonus for some of the levels of the pre-orders where you get staff points. It sounds like franchise just wanted something as a pre-order bonus, whatever it was. So they've added staff points into there. So if you pre-order and get a certain level, I think it's 100 staff points. I don't know if there's a different levels. I don't remember off the top of my head. But that's all it is. And by the looks of it, staff points is just XP. It's just franchise's currency. Now, when I say currency, people automatically think microtransactions. They think Ultimate Team. They think you're going to have to spend money to play franchise. I don't think that's the case. I'll give EA the benefit of the doubt here. Just from everything that I've looked at and everything that I've seen, it just looks like it's the new XP, right? So when you're looking at here to upgrade your player personnel, it costs 10 staff points. That might have been 2,000 XP in previous Maddens, for instance, right? Going into scouting, this will not be in the game to start at launch in August. It sounds like it's going to be a September update. They wanted to push this back to Madden 23, but they're going to make it a part of the live service updates that are going to be coming to Madden. They're trying to treat franchise as a live service type of mode. So they're going to be releasing, they've said 3 different updates. So the first one's going to come in September, and it's going to include this scouting. Again, if you've been playing Madden or NCAA, you're going to recognize this. This is NCAA's scouting to a T. It's just updated with graphics that look a little bit better, tailored to Madden, and they're, 8 years in the future, right? So if we look at here, we can see, so if we look at the right-hand side, you'll see Ted Davis, an area scout. So looks like we're going to be able to hire scouts, and you'll see that in the next couple screenshots here. Top prospects for the area, and then the strengths and weaknesses of the regions. Now, back in NCAA, we used to have pipeline states, so it would be cool if, eventually, maybe not in this Madden, but in later Maddens, you can start developing relationships with certain schools. Maybe you get certain bonuses for scouting certain schools. I think that would be really cool. Here's your scout hiring. So you can see they've got different experience, different expertise. So it looks like they're going to have a position expertise 1 and 2. So it looks like, similar to what they have now, where you're going to have the scouting discount in Madden 21, where if you had a scout that was good with DBs, corners and safeties had that little bit of a discount, where normally it cost you 15, 10, and 5 scouting points. It only cost you, I think it was 11, 7, and 3. So you got that slight discount. This is just going to be probably giving you more information based off of what their expertise are. Here's the scouting breakdown like I was talking about, where you can sign multiple scouts. You can see they've got them going to different areas, and they've got efficiency boosts when scouting their positions of expertise by the looks of it. So, 5% and 15%, are those the only two tiers? I don't know. Maybe that's tied to the player personnel or the head coach upgrades that you can get through the staff points. So this was the draft board that they showed. The very first thing that I saw was potentially it's an organic draft board, similar to what 2K has. And if you've never played 2K, you don't spend scouting points. You just tell your scouts what you want to go and get, and they'll bring back information organically. And what I mean by that is we don't go into, let's say we want quarterbacks and wide receivers. So we go and we want to scout only those guys. In previous Maddens, you would click on every quarterback, spend your scouting points, get all the information, and you were done. As you can see here, you've got 70% completion, 90% completion. You've got a projection. You've got a talent. So what I'm assuming is as scouts bring information in, you'll get that information and you won't necessarily be getting it all at once or at the same time in the season, right? And you might only get to a certain completion percentage for certain guys depending on where you spend your scouting resources, right? So here, if you look at Devin Patton, 90% completion percentage, he's a top 5 projected, but it looks like his talent in the draft is between 6 and 22. So I'm assuming that is going to be based on overall. He's somewhere between 6 and 22nd highest ranked overall in the draft. I assume once you get to 100% completion, that 6 to 22 is going to narrow down a little bit more, right? Because you can see the 70% completion, there's a question mark, so we don't even know. So I imagine it's going to kind of narrow down as you get more and more completion percentage. So here, private workouts. Maybe this is a draft type scenario where as you're leading up to the draft in the offseason, this is something that you do. This was the only screen we got about it. There was no menu showing how we got here, so this is the only thing that we have. All that it shows is that there are private workouts now. This is the exact same draft board that we saw 2 slides ago, but now it's showing a mock draft. Again, nothing new. It just shows just a little bit more immersion, right? So it's showing you, the Bengals and the Steelers need quarterbacks. So if you were in a top 10 pick and you needed a quarterback, you might want to get into the top 3. Otherwise, you're probably not going to get the quarterback that you want, right? So just stuff like that. Before, you would have to go into each individual team through the trade menu to find out what their needs were. This might help a little bit in that regard. As far as improvement, I don't know if it's an improvement, might be a little bit of a quality of life thing. But overall, I like it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Weekly strategy. So this is basically going to be what training is now. So weekly team goal. So you're going to be able to set your goals. And again, staff points tied to XP now. So instead of XP, you're getting staff points. So weekly team goal. Select which one you want. If you complete it, you'll get that many staff points. Pretty straightforward. It's exactly what we've been doing for years, except staff points is the new XP. Weekly strategy. Same menu we've seen, just with a couple of added things. Next gen stats we see there. Next gen stats are only available on the next gen consoles. They're not available for old gen. So PS4 and Xbox One will not be getting the next gen integrations. So I don't know how this is going to work for the weekly strategy. We'll see again. And I don't know if they're going to be cutting some of these franchise updates for the older consoles as well. They haven't mentioned it, but again, I don't know what they're going to do with it. Same thing we've always seen, right? Choose your game plan focus. It shows you kind of where they rank as far as your opponent. Pick your game plan. pick your strategy. This shows you kind of your team. So we're the Chiefs here. You can see Coach Andy Reid up in the right-hand corner. That's the character that you're playing. This is your health and fatigue of your players. Go through, get your game plan, do your training. Here's the defensive version, just to show you guys a different, what the options might be. They've also shown halftime adjustments. So I don't know exactly what the adjustments are going to be. In previous Maddens, when you did training, you would get a very, you'd actually get a detailed boost of what you got. +3 to pursuit, +4 to tackle, +1 to man coverage, whatever it was. It would tell you at the beginning of the game exactly what you were getting. It doesn't really show you what you're getting here. It almost looks more like a coaching adjustment, right? With the pros and cons. We'll see what happens. There's another version of it, there's your defensive game plan, sorry. And it just shows you, I would assume this looks like a head-to-head type thing. We'll see what happens. So managing player health. So this looks like the actual training screen because you've got the offense and it's showing you everything there. It also shows reps. So who's getting the reps and the practice intensity. So this is, again, back to 2K. Madden looked at the top dog for franchise and said, how can we be more like them? This is one of the things that 2K does. The harder you practice, the lower your fatigue for your guys. You get more XP and you get more boosts, but your player fatigue and your injury rate could go up, right? It's a risk-reward type thing. This is a training recap. Now, it looks the same as it always has. It's just presented in a different way. But one thing I wanted to notice or wanted to point out is if you look at Mecole Hardman and you look all the way to the right, it shows a knee cartilage tear injury. Now, is that an injury that he's had before coming into practice and the game is just allowing us to still give him boosts? Because he doesn't get a fatigue rating or anything, and he still got some game plan boosts, but he tore his knee. So did he do that in practice? Is that something that we can turn off if that's the case? I don't know. Something to look at. I mean, as somebody who enjoys simulation, it sucks, but I'm excited, right? If that's something that can happen where you're going up against a star player, like let's say you're going up against Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen and the Bills, and all of a sudden Stephon Diggs tears his knee in practice, that completely changes the game. It completely changes everything, right? And it's something that brings some immersion into the game that true simulation franchise fans are probably going to enjoy more than they're going to dislike. And personally, I enjoy it. This is another reskin, guys. These are the scenarios. So in Madden 21, these would have been when your offensive and defensive coordinators were texting you about certain players. We're facing Stephon Gilmore. We're facing Aaron Donald. We're facing Dalvin Cook. How do you want to deal with them? That's what this is. It's just presented as a press conference now instead of a text message conversation. So this is the franchise menu. So this is what you're going to be presented with when you load into franchise. This is the beginning. This is the home screen. And as you can see, it's basically the same, but it's not, right? It's the same information, just in different spots. You've got your schedule. It's a little bit lower on the screen where before it used to be at the top of the screen. Everything's in dark mode now. I prefer the dark mode instead of the white. I don't know why they flip-flop back and forth every year. I imagine it's a marketing tool. I imagine it's a psychological thing. If they keep flipping from light to dark, more people will think that they are, that they're changing it, right? They're changing the game, they're changing things, whatever it is. Now, you can see here that you have the goals, you have the schedule, you have stats, so it's all kind of there for you. It's nice to see the goals. That way it's transparent. You didn't always know what the goals were until you started the game and started, kind of gaining XP and progress towards the goals. But again, same kind of thing. It's just reskinned, nothing different. News, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. It's reskinned. It's been the same for years. We'll see if it changes. My guess is no. Moving on. In the video, it was only a 4-minute video, guys. If you want to see it, I'll try to link it in the description below if they have it saved on YouTube. But the managed roster, so they were saying, well, it's easier to find all this stuff. It's pretty easy to find, before. Trade Center was its own thing before, but now through managed roster, everything is all in one menu, whereas before it was 4. Not really that big of a deal because it was a team menu, and you just scroll down, had your depth chart, it was all right there. So it's not that big of a change. Again, putting lipstick on a pig, right? It's the same thing, just reskinned. Let's call it like it is. As a community, I hope we can see past little things like this and say, it's not an improvement. It's a change, but it's not an improvement. Let's keep the ball rolling here. Let's see what else you got, right? Here's an actual change and maybe an improvement. You can see on the right here the stats leaders for the league. This is through the league menu, the weekly schedule. These used to be in different menus, so it is kind of nice to have it all in one shot. I will give EA that. Quality of life thing, right? Again, my biggest thing is draft, right? I want to see draft improvements. I want to see the players walking out when they get drafted. I want to see reactions. I want to see just an overall better experience around the draft. The draft is one of the biggest moments of the year, and Madden treats it like nothing. Like it's nothing. You get a player card and that's it, right? So that would be my biggest thing, is to work on the draft. Draft promotion, draft presentation, whatever it is, just show us something better. This is for multiplayer leagues. So before, if you've ever managed a league, you know how much of a pain in the ass it was to try to scroll through all the players, because you'd have to go, if you had 32 members, you'd have to scroll. There wasn't a menu like this that showed you all of the names, if they were ready, if they were online, all that kind of stuff. It was such a pain. This is better. If you're a commissioner of a league, you should be happy about this. This is going to make things a lot better for you. And that's it. That's all it was. It was a 4-minute video, guys. That's as much information as I could gather from it. Early access is going to be on the 17th of August. Worldwide release is going to be on the 20th. If they do the same thing they did last year, the week before the 17th, because I believe the 17th is a Tuesday, they're probably going to drop the EA Play demo, and that should be a 10-hour full game demo. So you should be able to play the game then. Your progress will carry over to the 17th, and then everyone will get the game on the 20th. I'm not going to do a lot of gameplay edits, guys. If you want gameplay stuff, go watch, CC, go watch GutFox. They're breaking down everything as far as gameplay and Ultimate Team is concerned. I'm focusing on franchise only. But my first, kind of opinion, first reaction to gameplay, it's going to be the same. I'm going to be honest with you. It looks like it's going to be a mix of old gen and next gen from last year. So it's going to feel a little, maybe not as arcadey. It'll feel a little bit more momentum based, a little bit more inertia based. If you've ever played any of the other EA Sports games, they've kind of had that for a while. NHL has had it. I think FIFA has also had it, where you can't just turn on a dime. I could be wrong. But yeah, So that's my information on franchise, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you guys want any more information. I'll see what I can find. I'll bring you guys as much information as I can. I think this first week we're going to be getting a little bit more information on franchise. I believe later in the week. But yeah, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below what you guys want to see. Likes and comments always help channels, right, guys? Support your favorite creators with likes and comments. It pushes the YouTube algorithm and pushes it out to more people so more people can see the video. And yeah, until next time, guys, take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your week. And yeah, thanks for coming by. And enjoy the rest of your day.